Now, unless you have been living under a rock, or perhaps you've just been waiting for me specifically to cover it, you probably heard of the latest developer forum post that explains a heck of a lot of things when it comes to how the matchmaking system behaves relative to groups. While it is debatable whether or not half of that post was merely supposed to convince us that problems we perceived to exist did not actually exist, what I want to focus on specifically today is the allegation, assumption, or whatever else that Blizzard forces a 50% win rate on us when playing competitively. To understand what exactly I'm referencing, I need to show you the bit of the developer post that explains that very thing. It's a very long post and there's good reason why I'm not covering all of it today, but just try to stick with me here. The first and maybe most common misconception I want to correct is the belief that the competitive play system decreases your SR gains and increases your SR losses when playing in a group. The simple answer here is that there is no SR penalty based on your group status. It does not matter if you are solo, group with one person, or in a full group of 6. If you are a 2800 SR player group with 5 other 2800 SR players, the SR change after a win or loss is the exact same as if you played the game solo with 5 other solo 2800 SR players. We also do not artificially inflate the SR of the players in a group when finding matches. There is simply no penalty at all for the purpose of calculating SR and matchmaking. Now, looking at this part specifically, I'm sure there will be a fair number of people calling bullshit already. I do not discard the possibility that, again, a big chunk of this post has been written deliberately to try and make us feel like there's no reason not to use the LFG feature or even just playing with our friends. I'm sure the lot of you have as many anecdotes in stock as me showing how you have been treated unfairly by either the matchmaker or the SR distribution system when playing in a group. Furthermore, if that was always the case, why wouldn't they have told us long ago? This has been a point of contention for as long as I can remember. The assumption that playing in a group yields poor SR gains while having you face off against stronger opponents. If that was never the case, then why would they have told us when it first came up? Instead, they were sitting around watching as we grow into a community that only acknowledges ranks that have been achieved in solo queue, team play be damned. I also find it suspicious how deliberately they've been phrasing the paragraphs talking about the player queues. Sure, it might sound like we are in the wrong when we hear that only 16% of all matches purely consisted of solo players, but look at that sentence again. They didn't say that 16% of the entire player base decide to go solo, they are saying that 16% of the matches are entirely made of solo queuers, and that is something that we as players have no control over. Quite frankly, I dare argue that a lot of people would prefer having more games that only consisted of solo queuers. The 28% of matches they highlighted that consist of one duo as well as 4 solos is not a group game in the sense that the community would acknowledge it as such. In fact, I dare suggest that most people who were asked if they considered one duo and 4 solos a solo game, they would be inclined to say yes. Not because it has all solo queuers in it, but because realistically, getting a game where everyone is in solo lies completely outside of our control, and it happens fairly rarely. If we took the liberty to simply merge both of these values under the condition that duo queuing is considered acceptable in the eye of the community, and we get a more impressive 44% matches that largely consist of players not participating in worthwhile stacks. I'm not really trying to say anything by this other than the fact that you can make anything sound favorable towards your agenda if you isolate the data and present it in a very deliberate fashion. The statistics they presented don't mean that solo queue is not the most popular way of playing, and they never claimed it wasn't, but it does look like a deliberate attempt to make us feel like stacking is more popular than it really is. Bottom line here is really just take it with a pinch of salt. But to get back to the main plot, the so-called 50% forced win rate, this I do believe to have been a massive misunderstanding. Let's keep reading where we left off. There are many other reasons for the SR gained or lost after a game to differ in magnitude that have nothing to do with grouping. What was the quality of the enemy team and your predicted win chance? You gain more on a win if your predicted win chance was lower than 50%. You gain less on a win if your predicted win chance was higher than 50%. They go on to talk about a number of fairly interesting things that I haven't been too sure of myself prior to reading up on this post, but it is this part in particular that got some people throwing a tantrum. So I want to take the time to explain what this means. Only because you see the word win chance and the value 50% doesn't mean they are confirming your tinfoil theory of a forced 50% win rate. What it really means is the following. If you step into a match where you are considered the underdog but you end up victorious, then you are awarded more SR. That makes sense because you just beat an opponent that you were expected to lose against. It's like betting on a fight. You will always have more payout for the outcome that is less likely to occur. Because why would the bank give you a high higher payout on something that is already very likely to happen. Think of it that way. A lightweight sports person of your choice would not go up against a heavyweight sports person of your choice in any meaningful way, because the outcome of that match is very likely skewed in favor of the heavyweight. That's why both of these types of people have their own league where they compete with others under the same set of rules. In that same vein, a platinum player would not be awarded 50 SR for beating a gold player, and the gold player would not lose 100 for that either. Why would you get handsomely rewarded for winning a fight in which you were the clear favorite anyway? It doesn't make any sense, and given that the SR is supposed to be a matchmaking tool to a certain extent, winning against a lightweight as a heavyweight does not make you a better fighter. Winning against another heavyweight as a heavyweight makes you a better fighter. That's why winning against other players of your same rank will give you a steady increase in SR, because you are winning against others where your chance to win is about 50%. And that 50% does mean that the game forces this win rate on you. A 50% win chance does nothing of that sort. It merely represents the calculated fairness of that match. If you have a 50% chance to win your game, then that is perfectly even. If you had a 100% chance to win, then obviously that means you're about to stomp some bronze players. Don't confuse win rate and win chance. The first one talks about the frequency in which you are winning games, and the other one represents your likelihood to win each game respectively. The long and short of it is really just, the game is trying to give you these 50% win chance matches as often as possible, because when it comes to statistics, those matches are optimal in regards to fairness. If you reach a 50% win rate, then that usually suggests that the game manages to put these fair games in front of you on a frequent basis. It's not forcing you to lose matches if you are on a win streak, even if it feels that way. I really just want you guys to remember that when it comes to competitive play, fairness is of uttermost importance. If the matches are not fair, then they are not competitive either, because there's nothing competitive about somebody single-handedly stomping a whole team in negligence of fairness. That's why our ranking divisions exist, to avoid lightweight versus heavyweight kinds of situations and for the sake of furthering competition. But do remember that even within your division, fluctuations in skill exist. A low platinum player is not the same as a high platinum player, just like the Shanghai Dragons are not as good as the New York Excelsior, but they are still in the same bracket. Now, I do very much understand that feeling that some of you are getting, where it seems like the game is forcing you to lose on purpose, but please try to look at your own wins a bit more objectively. If you are on a win streak, then I guarantee that not all of your victories were achieved on the basis of skill. As much as it feels like Blizzard gave you a thrower to end your streak, I'm sure that at least a few of your wins were granted through a similar fate on the enemy team. Bad luck is a thing that hits all of us eventually, and if you wonder why your competitive experience is so inconsistent, then consider checking out my video titled My Biggest Problem with Overwatch, where I'm covering these exact inconsistencies and where they come from. So I hope that this cleared things up for you guys, and if you have any questions left, then feel free to drop down into the comment section below. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and maybe share this video with a friend you think would find it interesting. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.